What up, y'all? We are here for our Oracle and Tarot reading. We are doing our anchor message for the week and taking a look into the kinds of lessons that we will be working with in Soul School for the next week or so to come. Last episode, we talked about, and I just made the video a minute ago, but we did our Oracle energy forecast for the week, which gives us our energetic spiritual weather. And it's gonna be a really good video to watch in correlation with this one. So I would almost suggest watching that one first and then coming back and watching this one if you haven't already. Hopefully, sometimes one will upload before the other, so hopefully that one's already ready to watch. But if not, these two will go together. And yeah, you can go ahead and watch this one if that one's not up. It's just easier to watch that one first and then this one. But do what you want. Okay, enough. Crone. We got Crone, followed by the Maiden, followed by Aletheia, which is truth. Underneath Crone, we pulled Seven of Pentacles. Underneath Maiden, we pulled Ten of Wands. And underneath Aletheia, we pulled the Tower. Okay. Okay, yes. So, the Crone. The Crone, the Maiden, the Mother, and the Crone are the triple form goddess of the moon, of the divine feminine. These are the phases, the archetypal phases of the life of the feminine. First, we pulled the Crone. The Crone is wise, experienced. She's seen it all. So she doesn't get too flustered. She's learned to appreciate the bitter and the sweet for the value that they both offer. She has, she's kind of unshockable, but she's very wise and very magical and very calm, grounded, nurturing. She does not fight with life, but accepts it, like the energetic kung fu we talked about in the energy oracle forecast for the week. She accepts and embraces the seasons and knows when to make her moves and when not to. And not to fight with life. That fighting life creates suffering. You can fight for purpose. You can fight for your convictions. You can fight for the fullness of life. But resisting things that are out of your control will only lead to suffering and sorrow. So, something about accepting where we're at and gaining a more fuller, richer wisdom and having like a deep sort of like emotional grounding that's starting to come over us, like building that real solid inner security and faith. And we're doing this by overcoming and realizing the ways that we have been self-sabotaging because of our lack of wisdom or lack of maturity in certain areas, or our naivete, or just the point in the process where we've come, we're further than we were, right? We're always growing. Not to mention, we have been going back into our youth and our early childhood and our deeply ingrained programming and conditioning and patterning of just what we saw and what we witnessed, on a regular basis as kids, and like the unconscious impressions we got from those. So we were talking about the mother wound, and the divine feminine is like how like, how do we feel about ourselves? And so we're realizing like all of these patterns coming up based on, even for men, like their divine feminine, like their young divine feminine self, the way that they felt about themselves at an early age could have been maybe wounded or damaged or taken advantage of, or they could have been, you know, led one way or the other into, you know, poor like impulsivities and poor decisions, right? Because they didn't feel that they deserved better or more. So we're realizing now, like this week, this last couple of weeks, we've been deep diving into these patterns and these self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs and impulses and things and addictions. We've been reintegrating parts of our shadow. We've been doing mother and father healing. The father healing and that divine masculine aspect is how we act in the world, how we show up, right? So we're realizing, okay, how it's all connected, and like we're getting connected with the higher truth, like the divine truth, and we're seeing, okay, like from the wisdom of a higher perspective, and we're gaining a higher consciousness. And so something is calling us to authentically express our truth and not hold it back and not quiet that, but to live in that authenticity and express it. The crone with 7 of Pentacles, it makes me think that, well, like just off the top of my head, it's like think further for your future. Prepare for your future crone. Like think about your long-term value. What's going to be valuable long-term rather than instant gratification, rather than grabbing now. Or making decisions based on things that don't serve your long-term goals, right? Don't get, like, we want to stay present, but we also want to keep an awareness of our long-term vision as well. So we don't want to get too rigid, but also we want to think, okay, how do we prepare for the future? For example, investing. It's always better to start investing early because of compounding interest. It like creates more over time. The interest creates as much effect as it does your actual investment. So it's like the earlier you do these things, the better. The earlier you start on self-realization, the better. You know, the faster you are to embody the change, the better, right? Because time's going, right? We don't have infinite time. And so, yeah, think ahead when you're making decisions. Is this in alignment with my goals? Is this going to meet my long-term needs? Is this in alignment with my my deepest values, my core values? Is this, you know, even sometimes those things are in alignment, but it's like, are we taking actions and investing our time in things that are going to be fruitful, right? Or do we need to readjust like how we're approaching like our plans and what we're putting our focus on? You know, sometimes I'm like, do I need to start TikTok? I probably should, but like where do I find more time to reallocate another platform to upload onto, you know? So there are lots of ways that we need to think about, okay, what are we putting our time into? When you work on yourself, right? Like then when you invest in you, you care about yourself more, and you care about taking care of your kingdom. And then you care about how other people treat you as well, or what the things that you are putting your energy in, like if they're returning your investment, right? Be willing to make changes. There may be things that you've been working towards and waiting for a long time. And you've just gotten to the point of kind of acceptance of like, well, like, creation phase 3 is a point where you've kind of hit a wall and you're like, I've done everything that I'm supposed to. Like I've been working around the clock. I've like taken the big risks. I've unloaded my heart and I said what I needed to, and I confronted the bully, and I told the person how I felt, and like still like nothing, like the universe is just giving me crickets. And it's asking you, like, are you going to give up on yourself? Are you going to keep showing up? Are you going to hold out because you know you're worthy and you know you're deserving? And so you're going to not settle, but you're going to keep going, and you're going to keep persevering towards that dream, that goal. And you're not going to give up, and you're not going to settle for something less. It's not really in alignment, and you're not going to squander your energies and sabotage yourself. It's like, you're going to recommit and get centered and focused and tap into that desire and your motivation again. That's always the test, the cycle of the universe. It's like, oh, everything's so fun at first and you're all in and you're gung ho. And then it's like, oh, well, now I'm tired. Now the shine is worn off. Now we're 3 hours into the road trip and we're sick of the playlist. Like, I'm feeling stiff. I want to get out of the car. So the crone is like accepting the journey and accepting that most of life is the act 2, and thinking about that in big picture terms and doing that inner self-discovery and the inner work so that you're the only one that is going to live your life, and you're the only one that's going to have to answer for it. So if you self-abandon and you don't live authentically and true to yourself, it will haunt you always. And so it's important that we live wholeheartedly and we take risks and we give it a shot, but also to sort of not let failure or success define us, but just be in the experience of it for the joy of it, for goodness sake, right? So yes, there's that. When you're coming at life like that, when you're like, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to be wholehearted, but like if I fail, fuck it, I'm going to live. You're invincible. You have such an edge at that point. And it's like, if you can stay in that creator consciousness state and stay in that certainty and stay in that groundedness, it's like, like that's being a conscious co-creator. Okay, and so the maiden with 10 of Wands, that's like discovering all of the ways that like our like self-sabotage has held us back, the way that our limiting beliefs have held us back, the way that we might have abandoned ourselves to people please, right? How many people don't follow their dreams because they want their parents to be proud of them? So they do what their parents want them to do, and they go to the law school or whatever, and then they hate it. And then they're like, but I really wanted to be a photographer. Like these are common things, right? I have, similar struggles. My family doesn't agree with this, that I do tarot readings, and I understand where they are coming from and why they believe this and why they feel this way. But I, for whatever reason, feel that this is the way that I have to express this gift to share spirituality with people, because the people that I'm connecting to can't go sit in a church. They've been too traumatized there. That voice, that vernacular is too triggering. They can't do it. It's not that they don't want to think about Christ. It's not that they don't want to heal and grow and connect with their faith, but some people can't be in that environment. And they see there's like something there that's off about the way it's presented in certain environments. And so I am here for the people who are the castaways, the sheep that wandered off, that like have a lame leg, or that have like gone over the edge. Like, I'm the one that's like, here, I'll collect us and we'll have a little like neon technicolored tie-dyed flock over here, you know? That's what I'm doing. And so I have to overcome my limiting beliefs and the way that I have felt afraid to be seen for fear of being abandoned and rejected. That's just one of the personal things that I'm having and I'm coming to realization with and struggling with too. And so, you know, how are you holding yourself back and staying in a state of maidenhood, where you're not fully claiming your sovereignty? What kinds of subconscious beliefs might be holding you back in relationships? You know, what have you done? Like, what's holding you back in your job or your career, or maybe your living situation? Are you wishing that you could take better care of your house so that you had a better like environment around you? Like, what ways? Like, think about this too. A person who's like a staunch atheist and they're obsessed over it, they're doing it because they don't want God to control their life, but God is still controlling their life. So even like the thing, like what is forcing you to do things? What's compelling you? What's really in charge? Like, I am a servant of the light. So I am the opposite. I am like, I want the light to control my life. My life would be amazing if I could get out of my way and let the light control my life. Everything would be perfect. I'd be happy. Like, I'd be living my full purpose. I'd be in my full potential. Like, I see the benefit in this. I do not see it as a negative, right? But what limiting beliefs do I think are possible for myself? Do I not believe that I deserve success? Do I have a belief that my channel not growing is going to keep me safe from ultimately being abandoned and, you know, forsaken and hurt? You know, like that's a real sneaky one, because it's like, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm making the video, right? But something about my energy, my subconscious, there's an inner conflicting desire, right? So now we're starting to see these things and we're like, oh my gosh, this is too heavy of a burden to continue carrying on. Like, all these things that are just too heavy to keep going on and they're just holding you back and keeping you small. The photo that I took today, I heard so clearly Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is the book. I opened up, I flipped, I was like, this is the right picture. It's like when Alice is like, she's in this tiny little room and she's huge. She's too big for the space. And the text, I knew that the image was right, but I didn't even read the text until just before I started these videos. And if you zoom in, you can go to my Instagram and like that post and follow me there. Zoom in and read the text. And it's about Alice being in the White Rabbit's house. And she has been mistaken. She's shrunk down tiny, and she's been mistaken for a servant. And she's afraid she's going to get in trouble. So she's running around trying to find these gloves and like get this message to somebody. And she's like, oh my God, they've taken me for a maid. Now I'm being the messenger for these people. And I'm running around basically doing their bidding, because she didn't want to be cast out of the house. For whatever reason, she needed to be staying at the house, or like whatever. I didn't read the context of the story, but it was like she didn't want to be cast out of the house. So it's like she's running around doing everyone's bidding, people pleasing, abandoning herself, like letting herself being treated like not at her stature, because she didn't want to be abandoned or rejected or turned out. And so there was, she's the maiden. And part of this card is that the maiden, although she's sweet and she's naive and she's adventurous and she believes in life, like, so she'll take a chance, but she's also kind of like set up for a challenge, right? for like a trickster, sneaky tricksters or whatever. But she's so open that like life has to challenge her. And that's part of the journey. That's the hero's journey, is to be challenged, right? But it's about learning how to protect that innocence and that wonder and that naivete, but also have like healthy boundaries and discernment. And so, and we have to, the only way to protect that naivete and that innocence and that wonder in life is through healthy boundaries. And sometimes that's with, you know, people who are very close to us. And sometimes that's to people that are not close to us. But it's sometimes, you know, certain boundaries are harder to set than others. But yes, so the maiden, Alice is the maiden, right? And so this talks about how the maiden can, you know, be tempted into like daring, something daring and taking a risk, because she knows that like something interesting will happen, but there's also like challenges will occur too. So she hasn't become so fearful that she avoids, you know, the challenge or whatever. But so in the story, Alice sees a bottle and it says drink me, and it's not labeled. It just says drink me. And at this point, I think she's already become big and small by drinking from bottles before. And so she was like, you know what? I don't know what's in this bottle, but something interesting always happens to me when I drink from a bottle. So I'm going to drink this bottle, and hopefully it will make me big again, because I am tired of being small. And she drank, she took a risk. Even though like things have gone off topsy-turvy before, she saw the value in it. And she was resilient, and she was like, you know what? And maybe this is where we need to overcome our shortcomings as well, because we need to be brave enough to take risks, but wise enough not to make foolish mistakes or foolhardy, like impulsive choices. So the more that we understand and we overcome our unhealthy impulses and we grow past those, the more we can trust our sense of risk taking from a wiser place of more discernment. But anyway, so she drank the liquid and she got big again. And so then that led her to be too big for that space she was in, the White Rabbit's house. So yes, we're seeing our patterns finally. And we're like, okay, this is just too much. It's just it's holding me back. It's costing me too much energy, and I'm not going to do it anymore. So the tower. The tower is sudden change. It's sudden revelation where you're like, okay, I can make the change. I'm ready for change. I can see it so clearly. Sometimes this requires an event to happen. So something triggering could happen this week, but it might allow you to see the full truth, to really have that revelation. Something might happen that you feel that you are being asked to speak your whole truth, you know, and maybe you haven't wanted to. So there's something that is connected with like sudden realization of truth this week, and you may be asked to express that. And so if you do, try to prepare yourself or be prepared for that moment to be loving and pause first and be careful about what your motive is and what you're saying and how you're saying it. But something is asking us to live and make the changes to be really in alignment with that full authenticity. And to move past all of these things that have kept us out of alignment with our fullest authenticity, right? We're becoming this higher version of ourselves, our authentic selves, our higher selves, our authentic selves, our magnetic selves, that spirit self within. So it's like, if we don't change, then life might make us change. And it's better when you change, and life doesn't have to make you change. But there might be something come up this week that is just going to be like, so be advised. But the oracle forecast for the week had a positive tone overall. So, but it did not promise that nothing jolting wouldn't happen. But overall, it's very positive. It's for the good. All right, you guys, good luck out there this week. Let me know if there's anything that is specifically resonating with you, or that you know that you are trying to overcome, or you know that it's been coming up into your awareness, and maybe you just want to shout it out in the comments and speak that truth, right? own it, right? When it's out in the open, it doesn't own you. So let me know in the comments. And I need to get into the app and answer all of your comments from recent. I appreciate them so much. Things have just been busy and I have been tired. But I certainly appreciate them so much. And if you like this content, please subscribe to my channel. Join my neon flock. And yeah, I make videos daily, so stay tuned. Ciao.